a great conference. Huge thanks to Ashton and his team for organizing this. It's really like the venue and the way it's organized, so it's nice to see. Well, I'm Pavel from Igra Labs, and I want to tell you a little bit about Igra Network. What is it, why we're building it, and where we are, what's the status, and what's future holds for us, we hope. Before I start, how many of you know what actually Kaspa is? Great, so I don't have to explain this. Great. But let's start from why we're here, why at least I'm here. I came to this industry in 2017 after working for more than 15 years in Web2. So I was excited and I'm still excited about the idea of decentralization. And if you go to our website and see our manifesto, you will see that first and foremost thing we mentioned is about decentralization. We believe that this property is unique for our industry and we should keep doing this. Building centralized systems has its market, has its use, but it's not something we're here for. We believe that trustless, unstoppable censorship applications make a lot of sense, and that's the future. Unfortunately, our industry is not always keeping up with this vision, and this is something we want to change. First, let's define what decentralization is. Vitalik, in one of his articles, I think put it really nice in form of two tests. One of them is walk-away test. Your system is decentralized if your team will walk away and your system and company will disappear and your system will still work. And the second test is how much damage you can actually make as an insider of the company, how much you can bring system down if you're a malicious actor. So I think these two properties very important to keep in mind when we build blockchains of the new type, and that's exactly what we're doing here. We're building on top of excellent infrastructure of Kaspa Block, which is already secure and decentralized. It answers both of these criteria. And when building Igra, which is programmability layer on top of Kaspa layer 1, we want to adhere to these values 100%. But before, let's also look at this quadrant, at this diagram. Where we are in this world, why we're building what we're building, and why we think it's the right time to build this. So here you can see 4 quadrants by decentralization and performance. This quadrant, slow and centralized system, it's irrelevant. That's why it's empty. Luckily, no one is building this in modern world. Nobody needs actually centralized and slow system. It's good because these systems are irrelevant. Then you have a quadrant where you have very decentralized but slow system, which is programmability on Bitcoin. There are several really interesting projects in this world, including Citria, for example, which is a roll-up on top of Bitcoin. But unfortunately, performance is still not there in terms of throughput and finality. It's not a system which you really can work for the real-world applications. And then you have this quadrant with centralized but very performant systems. For example, Hyperliquid. It's a beautiful product. It's a trading platform. People use it. It has its market, but it's not decentralized. It's controlled by one actor, and when company will go down, the whole system will go down with this, and liquidity will go down with this. It's not something. It's not interesting, to be honest. Same goes to Tempo. It's a recent blockchain. It's going to be built by Stripe payment system. And Paradigm, one of the best teams in the blockchain world, and they build blockchain for payments. Also, make a lot of sense. There is a demand, there is a market, but again, it's not super interesting. And then we have Solana, which is sufficiently decentralized, but I still put it on the left side of this quadrant because of very strict hardware requirements for the nodes. But it's super performant, and again, it has its market. But still, it's on this quadrant. So as you see, the only blockchain which is currently sits in the interesting quadrant, which is decentralized and performant, is Ethereum. It's the only programmability chain which is sufficiently decentralized, performant, and has a, I think it has a future, it has a demand. So as you can see here, how should I call it? Oh, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to build a system which is both decentralized and performant. And that's exactly why we built an Igra. From technical standpoint, Igra is based system on Kaspa Block DAG. I try not to use word rollup anymore, because rollup in Ethereum world means system which has its own sequencer, and for Igra it's very important to stress that we're using canonical sequencing from the Kaspa base layer. We don't have any sequencer in Igra and don't have plans for that just yet. The next component is canonical bridge from Kaspa layer 1 to Igra, canonical wrapping of Kaspa in form of ICAS. I will come to ICAS later. Then we're using Reth EVM virtual machine as execution client. It's also from Paradigm, the same company which built Tempo. Again, great project. It's open source. We like it, and we added several important parts to it. Handling reorg. One of our excellent engineers submitted 2 pull requests to the Reth fixing this, and we hope this can be useful for any other team which will get into the same problems, same challenges with the Kaspa Block DAG reorg handling. Then we have a component Viaduct which actually translates DAG structure into the EVM blocks order. I won't go into the details, but mapping DAG structure into the linear sequencing is not a trivial problem, because DAG is essentially a rhizomatic structure with like rich networks, rich connections between the nodes, and traditional EVM-supported blockchain block sequencing is linear. So translating DAG into linear sequence is not something we can build easily. So it's like something we're quite proud of, this thing. Also, there is a TAM smart storage. It's also a great piece of tech. It's essentially a smart storage for all L2 transactions, any L2 transactions, so it's not limited to Igra only. We think any layer 2 can use it. Whoever built layer 2 on top of Kaspa Block DAG can use Atan for data availability, for inclusion and exclusion proofs. And last but not least, we provide standalone node clients with RPC interface for whoever interested to run our nodes. Currently we have 6 node operators running our software. We can onboard more. So if you want to be an Igra node operator, please come to talk to our booth. We'll register and onboard you. Internal status, public testnet is launched in form of 6 public nodes. We also have 5 internal nodes, but as I mentioned before, in terms of decentralization, this doesn't work because we control these nodes, so they doesn't count. We only count external nodes. And then this is wrong. 5 TPS, according to the recent tests, we have 30 TPS, 30 transactions per second on our testnet. And it can be, like, there are many low-hanging fruits for optimization. We just, like, to be honest, our RPC endpoint is not optimized just yet. We can go, I think, 2 orders of magnitude higher with this. We fully support 10 BPS, so we fully support Kaspa sequencing. Our nodes are following Kaspa Block DAG one by one, so you can check our state is super consistent with whatever happens on layer 1. I already mentioned 2 pull requests into Reth, and we onboarded 22 development teams projects on our testnet. Yeah, that's our architecture. Yeah, I understand. I hope that the video will be released. Also, we're working on our white paper. We already have a draft ready. It's in review. I hope it can be released in 1-2 weeks, and then you can check this yourself and you can understand what's going on here and ask us questions. This is our roadmap. So public testnet is already run. In Q4, we want to audit our code and launch closed mainnet for several projects, not for full-blown public access. In Q1, we're going to have public mainnet and TG, token generation event, token launch. And then in Q4, we're going to have zero-knowledge integration and light clients. I'm not touching it, but in several words, Yeah, I still have time actually. Yeah, I will touch it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's actually let's finally talk about something interesting. What's pre-ZK and post-ZK? So I told you we're a based system on top of Kaspa, and some of you who here knows what zero knowledge means in Kaspa world, like zero knowledge. Yeah, good. That's the thing. Kaspa is going to be the first layer 1 blockchain with the native zero-knowledge verification embedded, enshrined in the base layer. Essentially, your miners will verify any zero-knowledge proofs you put on the layer 1. That's big. And we want to integrate with this vision, and it will allow us to build so-called light client and exit bridge, canonical exit bridge from layer 2 to layer 1. And further, this zero-knowledge native verification will allow to execute the vision of VPROX, which some of you probably saw in the form of yellow paper recently published by Michael Sutton. But I want to stress that there is no half-ready project here. We're building, like pre-ZK, Igra is going to be fully functional. It can be there, it can work there for several years in terms of known hardware. It will still run on mid-tier machine, on any hardware, essentially. And this will work, this will support projects, it will support businesses, and it's going to be there. Like, we're going to release ready project. After ZK, we're going to improve this. Again, it will improve node clients, it will improve storage requirements, it will allow canonical exit from layer 2 to layer 1. But still, this is an improvement. It's not like we waited for ZK to be fully functional. Zero knowledge is not required for us to be fully functional, decentralized, secure, and performant. And as always, this is my favorite slide. As I mentioned, we have 22 teams building on Kaspa. Many of them are here. And all these great people we in contact with, we know them, we screen every team here. It's real people with real agendas. Unfortunately, we had an unpleasant case in the ecosystem with one team who essentially made a rug pull, a prop file. We never spoke with them. This is why they're not on the slide. If you're on the slide, we kind of vouch you exist. It doesn't mean you cannot rug. I recommend you don't. But still, at least these people we know and we think they real builders, and we have a great respect for them, because without these teams, without these projects, Igra won't succeed. Igra is just an infrastructure. Essentially, Igra is just electricity and water, but you have to build your own home, your own business, and connect to it, and bring your users and bring your usage to be successful. And we want you to succeed, but we cannot solve it for you. Right? Without projects, without protocols, our infrastructure is nothing. This is why this slide is the most important of the whole presentation. And I'm really happy to work with teams like Cascade, for example, which has a great team and a great roadmap to implement, and we're happy to have them as our partners. Same goes to Kaspa.com and Zelos and KYO and many, many others. And Castle, by the way, I just paid with Castle for my water. Well done, in one click. It's a really smooth experience. And now let's get to the burning question who everybody asks. When they talk about Igra, like they not always ask how you handle reorgs. They not always ask how you handle 10 blocks per second. They not ask what's the requirements for storage. They don't ask why your node is hanging every now and then. They not ask why you rely on Reth. Reth is not it's a very new, very flexible, but still it's not battle proven as Geth. They don't ask these questions. Most of the people ask this question, and I have no problem answering it. We need it for execution. We need it to maintain network. We need it for security. We need it to pay provers moving forward. Right? Lots of use cases for token. Yes, most of the native tokens in the Ethereum layer 2 are useless. And most of the layer 2 blockchains in the modern world are useless as well. And our job, and my responsibility, is to make sure that Igra as a token, as a blockchain, won't be useless. We need to make sure that this chain and this token brings real value and real utility. That's it. In details, we use wrapped Kaspa, canonical Kaspa. Hello. I don't know how to wrap that, but it's it. Yeah. Looks like German police is watching over us. They should be afraid. Yes, the state should be afraid of its people. So we're using iCasp, which is wrapped via canonical bridge as a gas token. So we can pay L2 fees, and this flows back to miners in form of miner fees. Also, it will be used for community exit bridge, but Igra is used for securing the system in form of attester staking. It will be used for DAO, because we aggressively moving into the DAO. We incorporated in Switzerland. Yeah, you stole the show, mate. It's my speech. Yeah, I understand. He's smelling his credit. We'll have a DAO, decentralized autonomous organization, essentially in charge of fees, rewards, grants moving forward. This is why we incorporated as association Verein in Switzerland. And this is why we spend lots of time talking to the lawyers how exactly organize all this. I started with decentralization, and to be honest, decentralization doesn't make sense only as a cypherpunk vision. It's also make a lot of sense from business perspective. To put it short and simple, in your system, when you build something on chain, you really don't want to be controller of other people's money, because this makes you a financial organization. You will need a license, and that's really hard to obtain, especially here in Germany. So you don't want that. Decentralization is the key to that. You build system which is sufficiently decentralized, you build it right, you audit the code, and then you actually distribute your responsibility between different stakeholders. And that's beautiful. This is why Ethereum is so successful. This is why Bitcoin is so successful. Because decentralization is not a dream. It's not just a fantasy of contrarians. It's a real business. We believe in it. This is why we think that DAO makes a lot of sense moving forward. Well, that's it. How good? Yeah. Okay. The idea was all this appears slowly and dramatic music is playing. But yeah, several words about the future. So what we're building now, we're building a based sequence system, programmable system on top of Kaspa block. And that's what we're going to do next year. But there are several things, several tectonic shifts happening in industry, which you probably, I'm sure you're aware of. How many people here know what means post-quantum cryptography? Lots of you, good. It's a real threat. It's not a threat, but it's something should be taken very seriously. Essentially, quantum computers in 5 years' time can break any existing cryptography systems. And we believe that these systems, meaning quantum computers, will be first concentrated in the hands of big actors, meaning governments and big enforcement agencies. It means that in 5 years' time, most of the modern cryptography, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, all programmable chains, most of them will be vulnerable to these attacks. This is why currently we have undergoing research in Igra Labs about how to make Igra Network post-quantum cryptography resilient. This is a big effort. It's also intervened with Kaspa core team developments, because obviously our system can be resilient, but then since we have our sequencing on Kaspa block data layer 1, Kaspa also have to be resilient to that. So these two ongoing efforts. And yeah, we're thinking about this, we're ready to that. Second, it's sooner than 5 years. Our system will be able to accept any token as a gas payment. I've mentioned Tempo, blockchain for payments earlier. They have a great idea about using stable coins to pay for gas. It's really useful when you build payments, because with all my love to Ethereum, having special token for the gas makes sometimes user adoption really, really hard. When I onboard people to Ethereum or to Kaspa essentially, and I have to explain that you have to have also, you send this token to someone, but you also need this token to send this to someone. It's awkward, it really breaks user experience. So ability to pay for your gas in any token is essential in modern programmable systems. And then we will have gasless enshrined applications, meaning every application which is enshrined on Igra layer, on Igra-based layer, inside of our system in the form of precompile. Precompile is essentially a special code inside of our node client which have a special treatment for this specific protocol. So for these enshrined apps, they will be gasless. So there are many use cases which super important for this, for which gasless experience is very important. You don't have to pay for interaction. This way you can have on-chain order books, settling your energy markets without any payments. That's very important for many projects which we're talking to. And last but not least, like recently dropped yellow paper by Sutton about VPROXX made a lot of waves. So you guys probably heard about it. Who heard here about VPROXX? More people than about post-quantum security, you see? It's equally important. So VPROXX is a vision about small and versatile programs which can be executed and then proved on the layer 1. Essentially what we're building is one big VPROXX. So we hope that these efforts we're doing will be fully aligned and will be helpful for the grand picture of things and can be used for the further implementations. So Igra will be first VPROXX and the other VPROXXs will follow, and they will be smaller and more performant, and then interoperability will come, and then finally we can build the proper digital trustless economy, the dream which Satoshi Nakamoto formulated more than 15 years ago. So thanks everyone, and I think that next year, 2026, is going to be year of programmability on Kaspa Layer 1. I think I still have 5 minutes, so if you have any questions, we have a microphone right here.
Anybody have any questions?
Just raise your hand if you have any question or comment on what I just said. Speak up. Oh, you're microphone.
Did you know, like, a little time when smart contracts going live in the next month or this month, maybe?
I should make this the second meme. When? Because that's also the question people ask. I keep answering, we're building something unique. And it would be reckless of me to say that we're going to deliver mainnet next year, next month, or next hour, before we spend at least several months polishing and testing the testnet. Testnet was released 23rd of August, so 2 weeks ago, fully, and we need some time to make sure that it works. There are many edge cases, many very specific things we need to figure out before we're actually ready to build and deliver closed mainnet. Because what we're building, the blockchain, it has many applications. You can build a lot of things with this. But one of the core use cases still for the programmable systems is decentralized finance. And finance means people money. It means we build system which will hold other people's funds, hard-earned funds. And that's not something we take easily. We're not gambling with this. We want to make sure we deliver something which works.
Yes, you want the best quality funds.
Best possible quality. We're not going to spend several years. Like if we could, we would spend it, but it's also given the current situation also on the market with the layer 1 security budget, and so we want to be there rather faster than later, but I don't have a date for you.
Okay, but thank you also.
Thanks for your question. Gentlemen here.
Hello. My question has to do with security issues. Because this is the most important, one of the most important things in blockchain ecosystem. I heard that our system, Kaspa, will be not valuable to quantum computers, which is an excellent thing. I heard that we are going to launch a node to the space. What? My question. CAT is the company, eh?
Yeah.
K-A-T.
Kaspa,
Yeah. Yeah. That's very interesting. This is very interesting. From a lot of reasons. First, it will be fully decentralized because it won't have any borders, time, countries, etc. Do you know anything about this progress?
Short answer is no. I also watching it like you as a visitor from sidelines. My strong and weak suit at the same time, I'm pragmatic and I work only with something I can understand, and this is vision for me is still hard to grasp. But I saw it as well, I see it out in the space. I also saw the presentation from Jonathan about after post-nuclear blockchains, and it's impressive, but at the same time it's a little bit scary. Yeah, what he said makes a lot of sense. Just it's a
gorgeous idea. The materials are already
the pieces of this puzzle are there. I really hope we won't have to use it. Let's put it this way. But yeah, if we have to, then probably Kaspa is one of the best solutions for that.
Well, it's not only about the Third World War, etc. It has, for my opinion, it has another meaning also. It is totally undistracted from power losses, from any natural disasters, or just puts the level of decentralization and security in another level, even if it is not necessary.
Resilience, yeah. Yes. Yeah, I agree. It's a great vision. It's a great vision. Gentleman over there.
Hi. You will talk about storage clients.
Yeah. Atan.
What's the idea with this? What are the possibilities with these storage clients?
To prove, like in current system, to prove trustlessly and cryptographically solid, to prove the state of the L2, you have to re-execute all the transactions from the Genesis, and you have to keep them elsewhere for that. If you keep all the transactions in its current form, it takes a lot of storage, just physically, because imagine 10,000 transactions per second. Even 1,000 transactions per second is a lot of data. This is why Mike Zak and Roman Melnikov came up with the idea of optimized storage, which keeps only special hashes of the blocks, and then it saves a lot of storage. We still have considerable storage. I think last numbers puts us somewhere around half terabyte or terabyte per year on the top usage. But it's not the final numbers, so don't quote me on that. But it's still it's a good numbers. It means you can run with the system even if zero knowledge is not there for several years. But then obviously when zero knowledge will come, it will improve situation because you don't have to have full nodes anymore as to be fully cryptographically solid and sound. It's enough just to keep hashes essentially, and then it's a small fraction of the data.
So it's an intermediate solution.
It's intermediate solution, but the beautiful thing about this, you can use it later as a full archival, as a solution for the full archival Kaspa layer 1. Because currently Kaspa doesn't have it in a full form. So we hope after we open source it, and we will open source it. By the way, I didn't touch on this. Yeah, so in terms of open sourcing, Red is already open. You can go and check, it's open source, so you can see our pull requests. And I think actually the changes Igra, our dev, made about reorg composition, reorg support, is very interesting, and it's one of the actually very important points of our architecture. So it's already there. It's available for everyone. Atan is just going through heavy refactoring, so we cannot open source it just yet because it's not final code. Viaduct, we'll see. It's I'm not sure it's super interesting or showing anything or useful for other projects, but maybe it is. So we're still on the fence with open sourcing it. So yeah, the most of the code will go audited and open source. But yeah, Atan, after we open source it, we want Kaspa community to use it as solution for archival nodes, for inclusion and exclusion proofs specifically. Like data availability, if you want to full data availability for transactions, someone needs to build this, but it doesn't have to be trustless. Like, it's two different things, right? Like to prove the state is one thing, and to see what transaction is about is another thing. It's like in modern Ethereum as well. You need it for tax purposes. You need in several years to prove that this transaction happened, for example. But it's a very small use case compared to making your blockchain fully trustless.
So you would use Atan after that key comes as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Atan will be. We hope Atan will be there for a long time, or at least a part of the bigger picture.
We have time for one more question.
Yeah, one more question, please.
Thank you very much for this interesting presentation. My question is about the speed. When we build applications of the apps on Kaspa, if you go back to the first slides you've shown, maybe at the moment it's 2 transactions per second.
30 transactions per second.
Oh,
I said it's I made the slides and I've sent them before we actually made the stress test, and then stress test showed 30 TPS, and then I thought, should I send the new version 5 minutes before my talk? No.
So
you can come to my booth, I can show you the results.
Oh, that's
And
great.
it's not optimized. It's not optimized, not in the flightest. So, and you can already scale with nodes. Essentially, if you want 100 TPS, today you just take 3 nodes and you send your transactions to 3 nodes.
Okay, so
Or 30 nodes.
the more nodes we are going to have will support the speed on Kaspa.
It's one, yes, it's one of the ways to scale, but we also want to optimize RPC clients. We were talking to several teams, like there is no secret, like Anchor, for example, is hunting for this kind of thing. So decentralized RPC, great company which also can host your RPC behind like very strong cloud balancers and stuff like that. But we don't give them this software just yet because it's not ready for the prime time. We just don't want to share the code which is not optimized from, like there are so many low-hanging fruits in terms of optimization that give it to a company like Anchor would be irresponsible.
Understand. So in the future, after launching, we expect that the speed of the D-apps transaction will align with the Kaspa speed.
100%.
Like, internet speed, let's say.
Yes.
Somehow. The second question is about the V-Prog. Do you have any timeline for it or any roadmap?
No, nobody has. It's a yellow paper, but it's not a white paper. It means it's a pre-white paper stage. If you check yellow paper, as I did, and my friend ChatGPT, so you will see that this describes only the core infrastructure and theory behind the whole thing. There is no implementation details, how exactly, which VMs you can use to write the procs, how exactly they're going to communicate with each other, how development tooling will look like. And that's, but my opinion is that's what made Ethereum great, for example, very rich developer ecosystem. As a developer on Ethereum, I know how many things, how many small and big things are there to make your life easier so you can just focus on your domain, make your product excellent. So vProg should still have all this to be a full-fledged vision. But as a vision, it's fantastic. I agree.
Thank you very much. Very wonderful. We support you.
Thanks everyone. Thank you for having me.